Floods are arguably one of the most visible signs of climate change according to the Institute for Security Studies. KwaZulu-Natal has consistently been hit by devastating floods which have caused damage to infrastructure, loss of life, injury and displacement. 2023's festive period brought another wave of torrential rains, prompting floods, with Ladysmith and eThekwini the hardest hit. At the moment, at least 64 people have lost their lives in the province since December due to inclement weather.
They are all related to the inclement weather, but they're not just only people that were washed away by the heavy rains. Some were struck by lightning. Some they met the disaster while they were on the road. In fact, majority of those people. Some their cars were washed away while trying to cross the rivers. So as the rain continues, we are still responding to the disaster incidents. There's quite a number of public infrastructure that has also been damaged, such as road, bridges. So different municipalities are currently responding to that, trying to repair those public infrastructure to make sure that all the areas are accessible.
But what is the cause? Is it climate change, spatial planning, or a lack thereof? Researcher for the Agriculture Research Council, Mukhove Singo, says several factors play a role in the devastation.
I wouldn't go straight to climate change to say climate change is the problem. Yes, climate is changing, but in this case, it might not be the cause for this event, right? Because there are many other factors which I would like to mention. I do look at what we call digital elevation model, of which tells me a lot about how KZN is like. I'm able to look at the terrain itself and able to see how it's things in KZN. Just when we look at the coast next to the beach, it's flat a little bit. It has low elevation, and then, however, when the moment that you're about to move inland, KZN gets to become steep and steep and steep, right? When I look at where the river comes from, I try to trace it where the river comes from. It's like it's coming up the hill. That's where most of the catchment will come from. So if the river is coming uphill and it has all these tributaries that are contributing into that river to have this massive flow of water downwards. Imagine what will happen down here if all the water are coming down here. So slope play a big role in terms of speeding up the water and also directing the water where it's going. So people that are up, maybe up there on the slope, and people that are down here are not going to feel the same effect, right? Because where it's high up there, that's where the water will be flowing from and coming down to where it's flat. What I can say in terms of the slope itself, the steepness also does count because it speed up the flow of water coming down to a place where it's flat, because of where it's very high in terms of steepness, where it's very steep, they won't get that flooding effect because there will be more rainfall. But when it gets down to where it's flat, there will be that density of like let's just say high velocity of water coming to where it's flat, sort of. So that is how we tend to have these areas being flooded. And let's not forget that when water is moving in high speed, it also has a mass. It's washing everything coming down. So it has that energy to be able to just sweep whatever that it's whatever that maybe it's washing away, sort of. It's able to push a lot of mass and yeah.
How do we prevent the loss of life, or is this inevitable? Singo says, in an ideal world, occupation in flood-prone areas would be strictly prohibited. Empirical studies would guide municipalities on possible weather red flags and allow them to prepare properly. Unfortunately, since people have already moved onto these floodlines and deep slopes, Singo suggests speedy evacuations and communication alerting people to take appropriate care. KZN Kokta says that although the government has a responsibility to ensure they deliver these warnings, it's important for residents to adhere to safety tips to reduce loss of life.
I think some of those incidents have been captured through videos, and some are circulating on social network, where you see people driving through the flooded bridges, and we have lost life because of such behavior. We do encourage people to take the safety measures in place. When we advise people try not to travel when it's raining, because we know the danger. It poses a serious risk when you're traveling in the car and you drive through a flooded bridge. You don't even know how deep and the power of the water. So it puts you in a very it poses a life-threatening. It is a life-threatening incident. We've also experienced a number of drownings within the province as part of the numbers that I've mentioned earlier on. People, they just go and swim in the dams and rivers, which it's very dangerous as well. So we urge people to cooperate, work together with us to ensure the safety of everyone. Those who have kids, make sure you look after your kids. Don't try to cross swollen streams and rivers, because that has also cost lives. Those that are driving, do not try to avoid or delay the trip when it's raining, and also don't attempt to cross swollen streams. Those will assist us, and I believe that these figures would have been much lower should people heed to that call. But you are still pleading with them that they must refrain from doing such, because it will cost their lives.